Welcome back for another video. In this video we've dug out the record books for the craziest football records of all time. If you enjoy this kind of content, hit like and subscribe for more to come on the channel. We'll start off with the highest goal scoring goalkeeper of all time, and this one goes to Rogerio Ceni, who had an illustrious career in Brazil, 1,238 appearances spanning from 1987 to 2015, and even 17 caps for Brazil. Over that run he scored a breathtaking 132 goals, 61 of which were free kicks, 70 penalties and one even coming from open play. Ceni's also the Brazilian with the most appearances for a single club, ahead of Pelé. So what's the worst ever defeat in football history? This horror show actually came on Halloween, 31st of October 2002, played between AS Adema and SO Emern, a playoff match in the Madagascan League. The game finished 149-0. The playoffs were a round-robin format, and SO had been knocked out of the title race by the time these two rivals faced one another. They intentionally lost the game in protest over refereeing decisions that had gone against them in the playoff tournament. Honourable mention to Peleleo Sporting Club, who in May 2016 beat Indy Native 44-1 in the Ecuadorian 3rd Division. Striker Ronnie Medina scored no fewer than 18 goals himself. This is technically the worst ever defeat in a match which wasn't a thrown game. Next up is the youngest international goalscorer of all time, and this one was set in the 2000 AFF Championship held in Thailand. In the 62nd minute, Ung Kway Ton found the back of the net for Myanmar in a game against Thailand at the age of just 14 years and 93 days. It was the only goal the midfielder scored for Myanmar in his career as it played out, making 13 appearances. So how about the oldest professional footballer of all time? On October 6, 2020, Ezeldin Baheda from Egypt set this record, playing in goal at the ripe old age of 74 years. The game ended in a 3-2 defeat, but he at least earned himself a spot in the Guinness Book of Records. Has a professional goalkeeper ever scored a hat-trick? Actually yes, on 3 occasions in history, and actually as recently as 2022. The first was Pantelic, who scored a hat-trick in 1963 for Vojvodina in the Yugoslav 1st Division. The next was Gilbert. 26 years later, in 1999, the Paraguayan scored a hat-trick of penalties for Argentine side Vélez Sarsfield in a 6-1 victory. And then in February 2022, keeper Athanasiou scored a hat-trick in exactly the same way, 3 penalties, in the Greek league. So what's the fastest goal ever? This one goes to Gavin Stokes, who scored in 2.1 seconds into the match in 2017. The midfielder spotted the opposing goalkeeper off his line and he fired home a strike top corner from the halfway line with the very first kick of the game. This was a non-league game in the West of Scotland Super League 1st Division. His team Maryhill went on to win 3-0. Next up is the most goals scored in a calendar year, a record many are familiar with. On December 22nd, 2012, Lionel Messi scored his 91st goal of the year. This broke the previous record set by Gerd Müller, who'd scored 85 goals in 1972. Astonishingly, Messi's 91 goals came from 69 games at a rate of 1.3 goals per game over the year. Factoring in his 22 assists put him at 1.64 goal contributions per game for the year. On the 24th of September 2015, Lewandowski set 2 records in a single game, in a match between Bayern Munich and Wolfsburg, which ended 5-1. The first record was the most goals scored by a substitute, with 5 goals in 9 minutes. And the other record he set was the fastest time 4 goals have ever been scored in a single game, having scored 4 goals within 5 minutes and 42 seconds. Who's the dirtiest footballer of all time? There's a lot of names that could spring to mind here, but this one goes to Bedoya from Colombia, a defensive midfielder who played for 20 years between 1995 and 2015, including 49 international appearances for Colombia. He picked up a total of 46 red cards over his career for club and country. What about the most red cards in a single match? In May 2011, Claypole faced Victoriano Arenas in the Argentine 5th Division. 36 players were shown a red card by referee Damian Rubino. All 22 players on the pitch and a combination of 14 subs and coaches received red cards. The match was abandoned. Who are the tallest and shortest professional footballers of all time? 2 feet separates Jorgensen and Bimbinha. The former is a Danish goalkeeper, still active, and measures 6'11". Bimbinha was a Brazilian player who was active in the 80s, and he measured 4 feet 10 inches. A standard football goal is 8 feet tall, and we've included a ruler for scale. Next up is the longest serving manager in history. The likes of Arsene Wenger and Alex Ferguson are names that come to mind, but this one was beat comfortably by Amadou Teixeira from Brazil. He was in charge of América de Manos for a staggering 53 years between 1955 and 2008. For comparison, Wenger and Ferguson managed for 22 and 26 years respectively, so less than half. Teixeira was also one of the founders of the club in 1939. And finally, there are lots of players to have played in Europe's top 5 leagues, however there's just one true journeyman who's played on every continent, Lutz Pfannenstiel from Germany. He played for an unbelievable 27 clubs over his career in Africa, Central America, North America, Asia, Europa and Oceania. Even post-retirement he hasn't slowed down, taking on coaching roles in Africa, Europe and North America. That wraps up the craziest records in football history. If you enjoyed it, please like and subscribe. Let me know if you'd like another one of these with more records. I read every comment, so drop one below.